What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got a bunch of great topics, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with Shuntaro Furukawa, the president of Nintendo, and what he has to say from the recent financial meeting. Now, there was a ton of information that's still currently coming out from that meeting and what Shuntaro Furukawa had to say to investors. But I did want to highlight one aspect of that, talking about the Nintendo Switch being in the middle of its life cycle and how the impact of Animal Crossing is really driving up their business. So here's what Furukawa had to say. Nintendo Switch has seen cumulative sales exceeding 60 million units since the launch, and it's now entering the middle of its life cycle. We continue to see this as a building of a foundation for growth that goes beyond the life cycles of our previous hardware platforms. Furthermore, when Animal Crossing New Horizons was released on March 20th of 2020, Nintendo Switch had already been available for 3 years, and we believe that many consumers who became aware of the system during that time but had not yet purchased it were inspired to do so because of the interest surrounding Animal Crossing New Horizons. Our situation this year was defined by the benefits of this major hit title creating significant demand. Moving forward, we will continue efforts to extend the Nintendo Switch lifecycle while promoting initiatives that make use of Nintendo accounts and pursuing our goal of motivating consumers to play our platform for years to come. The dedicated video game business is based on consumers buying the hardware and then also purchasing software. So Animal Crossing New Horizons becoming a major hit and encouraging hardware purchases among so many consumers goes beyond impacting the business this 1 year and is extremely significant to the overall Nintendo Switch life cycle. Now, this is something that I wanted to highlight because I talk about this when people talk about system sellers and what Nintendo is going to have. And I've always talked about how it's not just one system seller or the major title. It's multiple games that sell the system for years to come. The Animal Crossings, right? The Mario Karts, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey. But what Nintendo's trying to convey here is that Animal Crossing New Horizons kind of transcended anything that they've already had, along with the Switch Lite already doing extremely well when they had like the new Coral edition of it. Plus, with the hardware that they had, it drove hardware even further than they thought it would do, which caused them to revise their hardware numbers to 24 million. It was like at 19 million, they went up to 24, so 5 million units extra, which is still looked at as a conservative estimate based on the projection of where they're going. Now, they've pretty much already hit 70 million units so far, so this goes to show you that Nintendo is going to keep at it here. We probably won't see the next Nintendo Switch successor. I still think we're going to see a revision, but we probably won't see the successor for another 3 years, so 2022 at the end of that, or 2023 at the earliest. So it just goes to show you that while Nintendo doesn't have the big graphics and all of that stuff like that, it can still sell hardware and software with the best of them because of their great software that moves their hardware that's affordably priced at this point now, with $200 being for the Switch Lite. So what do you guys think about these Animal Crossing sales boosting the Switch sales, and also the Nintendo Switch once again kind of indicating it's in the middle of its life cycle? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here. This is something that I've touched on a number of times with SEGA and Atlus and what they need to do with their back catalog of titles and games, and particularly with Persona. That would be like one of the major ones, and they need to release it on more platforms. Apparently, Sony's not paying them for anything at this point when it comes to some of their games that are locked on this system or that system, or Nintendo's not paying them, or whatever the case is. So they've just been doing it on their own, it seems like to me, based on what they had to say in a recent investors meeting. Now, you guys all know, but if you don't know, SEGA did not have a good quarter. They did not sell what they needed to sell, and Sega Sammy had to talk to investors why they didn't hit those goals and what they're going to do to rectify the situation. So let's talk about this. Now, during a video presentation, Sega President and CEO Haruki Satomi discussed Sega's plans for expansion of business rollout slide. During this segment of the presentation, Satomi specifically mentioned Atlus and Sega's desire to work more with the existing library of Atlus titles. Now you have to remember, Sega acquired Atlus, so Sega didn't originally have Atlus's IP. They bought them a number of years back and acquired them and are now looking to expand on what they do in order to enhance their business or expand on those titles that Atlus brought over, they got in the deal. So Sega is working with different partners to expand their releases to platforms beyond the Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo bubble. Sega has not been proactive about releasing Atlus titles on Steam until now, but the direct port of Persona 4 Golden on PC far exceeded their expectations. As a result of Persona 4 Golden's success, Sega wants to release more ports, remasters, and remakes from their catalog of Atlus titles to various platforms. Now you guys are seeing right here, there is this slide, expansion of business rollout. You see the Sega bubble there, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, they're all in that bubble. And the next bubble would be Steam, NetEase Games, and what they've done, Tencent, Epic Games. Then the next bubble over would be like more of the digital content, right? Like Stadia, Xbox Game Pass, Amazon Luna, Apple Arcade. And they show a number of games that they have in different ones there, which is interesting though, because PlayStation and Nintendo have nothing with like a game underneath it. But I guess they're just showing like, okay, well, what we're doing to expand, because they release games on Nintendo and PlayStation more often than they release games on all these other platforms or services. But Satomi did go on with more here. So this statement by Satomi is very similar to the one that was made in August during the investor Q&A regarding Persona 4 Golden's surprising success and the desire to port previously released titles to Steam and other platforms. After its Steam release on June 13th, Persona 4 Golden had reached over 500,000 players as of July 10th, according to the FY ending on March 2021 Q2 results presentation. The release of Persona 4 Golden for Steam generated approximately 2 billion yen, which is about $19.05 million for the company in June 2020 alone, just by itself there. So yeah, almost 20 million just right there in that quarter. Sounds like a good idea, right, Sega? Now, the initiative for porting older Atlus games could likely also include this year's releases of Catherine Full Body for the Nintendo Switch and Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster for the Nintendo Switch and also the PlayStation 4, which we have seen Atlus and Sega kind of get a little bit more into it, right? That is true. Catherine Full Body, great release on the Switch. I'm going to pick that up for Black Friday. They got some good deals on that game. And then also Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster coming out for both the PlayStation 4 and also the Nintendo Switch, when Shin Megami Tensei has pretty much just been on Nintendo platforms. So they expanded out a little bit more outside of their comfort zone. But Sega and Atlus definitely have to get a little bit better with their remasters and ports and making sure that they can get up to speed with what other companies are doing. We're seeing companies like Capcom literally make a killing on releasing older titles on platforms, even helping those games kind of get new wind and get new life and sell a lot more copies. So it makes absolutely no sense that games like Persona 5 and Persona 4 and Persona 3 and Persona 2 and Persona 1 are locked on certain systems compared to everything else. There's no reason why we shouldn't see at this point. Well, I know the reason why, because obviously resources and things like that, and Sega just not believing in it, and Atlus just saying, hey, well, we're smaller, we're not going to do this and that. But there's no reason why there shouldn't be a plan going forward to get a Persona 5 Royal on PC and the Nintendo Switch. If that game was on those two platforms, they could sell way more than what Persona 4 Golden did on Steam. I mean, they were happy with $20 million. They're going to make like $100 million if they release Persona 5 Royal on Steam and also on the Nintendo Switch, because you can sell it for near full price. Even though the PS4 version is cheaper, people will still buy it on Switch and PC for a higher price because they want to play it on their platform of choice, and especially on Switch, that being a hybrid portable in addition to home console, that is a perfect title for a game like Persona. So it makes complete sense, and I would expect that we are inching closer to finally seeing those games kind of break out of the chains of the captivity when it comes to certain platforms. We finally saw it with Persona 4 Golden coming over to PC via Steam, and it was a success, so I would expect other games to come over. I just don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, heck, it took 8 years to get Persona 4 Golden off of the freaking PS Vita, okay, guys? That was the last system that it released on. Not the PS3, not the Xbox 360, not the PS4, not the Xbox One. but the freaking Vita, okay? And then before that, it was a 2008 title on the PS2. So it even took them a number of years to get it onto a more modern platform. So this is the way that Sega and Atlus have been rolling for quite some time now when it comes to the releases, but it seems like they're changing course here, and they're starting off next year, at least here in the US, with Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. That game already starting off really good in Japan, so I expect it to do well here, and I do expect Sega and Atlus to release more ports of their back catalog games to Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and more platforms going forward in the future. But like I said before in previous videos, it's only a matter of time. So what are you guys' thoughts on this when it comes to what Sega had to say here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here. We have a very interesting discussion that's going on with the launch of these new systems, right? We have the Xbox Series X, which I did a walkthrough of, had some gameplay, probably have a video out at some point, so make sure you guys check out the channel if you're interested in that. But then also the PlayStation 5, which is coming out tomorrow here in the United States. In certain countries, Europe, you're gonna have to wait till the following week. Sorry about that. But the thing about it is that there are some reports going around that there are some faulty PlayStation 5s, so some of the issues that are going on there. Now, I don't want to panic people, and this is definitely not a doomsday type of scenario. I'm pretty sure most people's PS5s will work absolutely fine, but I did want to talk about this just a little bit, so maybe you guys don't fall into the same issue, or if there is something, you can quickly contact customer support. So shout outs to Jeremy Penter over there on Twitter. He is a content creator. ACG is what he goes by. And here's what he had to say. He said, post 1, he said, at this time, my PlayStation 5 is 100% dead. I was having the storage rebuild issues others reported, but mine escalated to full errors and network issues / boot. Sony and I were working through troubleshooting when it died completely. So at this time, I will be moving content around. I did promise viewers I would give out the PS5, so I've pre-ordered another online since there is no reason for people to wait. When the first arrives, I'll be giving it to viewers in a giveaway versus using it myself. I can wait for the second. So that is an amazing thing that Jeremy did here. So shout outs to him, man. That's very selfless of him considering the circumstances and everything. The fact that that's his PlayStation that he was supposed to get like another one, but he pre-ordered it online. He's going to give it away and he's just going to wait because obviously it's going to be in low stock. But yeah, I mean, I've been hearing about some of these faulty issues with the hard drives and with the memory and certain things like that. And it's very unfortunate that some of these errors are having. But I do want to let you guys know that with the storage and everything, this type of stuff happens. I mean, we've seen it before. When the Switch launched, there were some issues there. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some reports about Xbox and some issues there. So this is just like the typical thing that happens. What we have to kind of look out for is if there is like a high number of these issues happening, because he's already stated here that other people have reported it, which I've seen, but I was kind of like, okay, well, what's going on? Maybe there was just something before like the firmware launch. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how this progresses, but I'm guessing that things aren't going to be too bad. I'm guessing that there are just some defective units out there, just like there are with lots of different electronics that launch. So nothing to be crazy or super cause for concern, but definitely something to just keep note of if you do have an issue and if you have to call Sony, troubleshooting, whatever the case is. So what are you guys' thoughts on this when it comes to all the different topics that we discussed here? I'd love to hear them in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Going to give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.